So our theme for the month of March is integrity. And that is, of course, about walking, talking, turning, and growing with the Spirit. And Webster defines integrity as the state of being whole and undivided. And we understand this at an infinite universal level. We particularize it at the individual level. So we express our integrity through things like compassion, honesty, generosity, and sometimes when we get angry or we share our frustration with others, people are normally mirroring back at us exactly what it is that we need to work on. So the purpose of a more peaceful interaction is to help us shift that consciousness. It's up to us to sit down face to face and have a conversation with the reality that we've created. Whenever we opt out of integrity, we often make choices that don't serve us or those around us. And this transition from the cosmic consciousness to our own individual personal consciousness, which of course goes right back into the cosmic consciousness, is why it's so important for us to find peace. That's that ripple effect that goes out and comes back to you. So like the spokes on a wheel that radiate out from the same center, we radiate out from the same universal mind. At the center of that wheel, the spokes share an identity. At the center of the universal mind, we have access to the same power and to that presence of peace. And our position on the rim is the use we make of the mind. If we can call a truce with the negative energies, and we can change our experience of the things we perceive that are unchangeable, that means we shift our consciousness. And Dr. Ernest Holmes says that we open the gates of consciousness and permit spirit to flow through us. And you heard Eddie Watkins Jr. singing in the inspirational music. When I find myself in one of those situations that are leading towards drama or confrontation, it's time for me to get plugged in, to put spirit in front of me, to make those crooked ways straight. So for me, this means it's time to go into prayer or meditation, to quiet the mind. And Jesus gave us a great example of this in Scripture when he said that in prayer we should enter a closet and close the door. So entering the closet is about withdrawing and releasing. Entering the closet is about going within to our own mind. And closing the door is about letting go of all those outer appearances that seem to be challenging. And this gives us the opportunity to set aside the confusion, to release the struggle between our ego and willpower. And the bowl that I played for you this morning has to do with that. It's about letting go of those lower energies that are fueled by the ego, discontent, challenges, confrontations, and really surrendering to the divine. This gives us the opportunity to surrender to our own inner guidance, to begin thinking from a place of tranquility and peace and love. When we can move towards this quieter mental attitude, our physical senses respond and they begin to relax. And this allows that divine spark within us to come forth, so that we can share what we're here to share, which of course is love. So the inward journey, which is the title of my talk this morning, can now emerge as a different and new possibility. The uniqueness of our expression is always unfolding, yet it never diminishes the integrity of the whole. And so I know in this moment that whoever's involved with that sound is in the right place at the right time with the right people, as the glory of God continues to be made manifest through their experience. I am grateful for the gift of understanding this truth, that it is the intention of the universe to give. It is never altered by the use we make of it. The law responds automatically to whatever it is we're thinking. Because it is subject to the power of our conscious thought, the challenge is corralling the unconscious thoughts that we sometimes don't even know are there. So the highest and the lowest is inherent in everything. That's the yin and the yang, the up and the down, the hot and the cold. But Dr. Ernest Holmes says that the person who uses the principle the most effectively is the person most deeply, inwardly convinced of a simplicity and an integrity of the universe. So life is a gift. Life is intelligent. And life responds to us. We all know this. When you talk to your plants, don't they bloom more beautifully than when you ignore them? As students of the science of mind, we believe that all of life is a spiritual experience. That within this field of possibility, creation exists. The power and the presence, whether you call it God, Buddha, Allah, Nirvana, is always available. And it works within an immutable law that expresses equally through everyone and everything. It is the alignment of our inner and outer lives. It supports and strengthens our well-being. It allows us to feel our completeness. And it is the embodiment of wholeness, of that interconnectedness. You're all familiar with the expression, there is not a spot where God is not. So God is not just the parts of life that we like. It's also the parts of life that we do not like. And those are our greatest opportunities for challenging. It's up to us to listen deeply, to be courageous. Integrity is always waiting for us to express through our thoughts, our words, and our actions. And the demonstration of our integrity is the arrangement of all the parts of our life. And that means we have the opportunity to live life to its fullest, to practice passion, compassion, softness and strength, and giving and receiving. And that is love working through law. Once we realize that all of creation is an effect of our thinking, all we have to do is shift our belief system. Our mission, should we decide to accept it, I used to love that show, Mission Impossible. I probably just dated myself by about 5 decades. But our mission is to grow ourselves large enough to embrace it all. Dr. Ernest Holmes says, life is a blessing or a curse according to the use we make of it. Are we in the light or are we in the darkness? And again, back to Eddie Watkins Jr. When I find myself in one of those situations and I don't know what to do, it's time to get plugged in, to put spirit in front of me. And I love that he says 10 times out of 9, the realization or the revelation works exactly as we anticipate. So do we have the courage to examine the interconnectedness of life? Certain patterns can be hard to give up. I remember when I crashed through the double doors at the Center for Spiritual Living in Fort Lauderdale, right after my first divorce. And the first class that was available, of course, was on relationships. And it only took 2 years, that's all, small amount of time, for me to finally realize that it's never about who's out there. It's about who's within us. And after that 2-year period, I walked into the classroom, and on the bulletin board, there was a poster that had been there, I'm sure, the whole time I was there, but I didn't see it until I had gotten to the point where I could see it. And the poster said, "The relationship is over when the pain to hold on is greater than the pain to let go." So again, do we have the strength of character to look into the face of the reality that we've created around us? Because we are children of the Most High, we are always at choice. Can we see the mirror of ourselves reflected back at us? Can we recognize that we give birth to all the challenges for our own growth? Can we give thanks for the struggles that we move through in this experience called life? People deserve our love because of what God created them to be, not because of what we expect them to do or how we expect them to act. When we choose love instead of fear, we experience heaven. When we choose fear instead of love, we experience hell. And we all know that heaven and hell are simply states of consciousness. There is something within us that knows what to do, and it knows how to do it. And that something creates everything that we experience. We are an integral part of that something. And the pieces that compose that whole are always in flux. That's the growing, that's the changing, that's the challenging. Yet at the same time, what lies underneath is never diminished. Dr. Ernest Holmes teaches us that what we are looking for is what we are looking with and what we are looking at. So we've been given this incredible gift called life. And the integrity of the universe consistently responds independently to the integrity of our thinking. Whether we affirm or deny our own reality, either way, it's ours to use. So the inward journey is about walking, talking, learning, and turning to the divine. Thank you, and namaste.